we fear to face your love, lest our emptiness it prove. Now at last our hearts we give you, who remain our friend, who remain our friend.
The voice of God calls us to awaken Him. How will He find us when He comes?
Awake and ready.
And when He asks us to dedicate ourselves ever more perfectly to Him, how will He find us?
Awake and ready.
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
Great Master,
Great Master,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Saints of all religions,
Saints of all religions,
we humbly bow before Thee.
we humbly bow before Thee.
Help us,
Help us
to open ourselves
to open ourselves
with ever deeper love
with ever deeper love
and receptivity
and receptivity
to Your redeeming light.
to Your redeeming light.
And as we receive,
And as we receive,
make us Your channels,
make us Your channels,
that we may share
that we may share
in attunement with Thy divine will,
in tune with Thy divine will,
Your love and joy.
Your love and joy.
Om. Peace.
Peace.
Amen. Happy Easter, everyone. Please have a seat. It was special, a unique service today that we're going to share more of Swamiji's music from the oratorio.
never suffer such disdain. Would that I might reveal thy greatness, nevertheless thy will be done.
words on our affirmation for this week. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the spirit of joy channeled through the power of the will. If we want to know joy, we must live always in the full expectation of it. Not even earthly happiness can come to those who demand it glumly or who work for it with their eyes to the ground. To achieve happiness, one must work with happiness. To achieve divine joy, one must be keenly enthusiastic in everything one does. Never presume, never brush aside that subtle feeling of doubt which attends false emotional enthusiasm. Try always to let God's joy express itself through you. Thus your enthusiasm will grow, eventually to become His joy. Now let's affirm together first in a strong voice. In everything I do.
In everything I do.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
In everything I do.
In everything I do.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
Now a little softer. In everything I do.
In everything I do.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
In everything I do.
In everything I do.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity.
Now in a whisper, but with even deeper enthusiasm. In everything I do. My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity. In everything I do. My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity. Now silently broadcasting it from the spiritual eye. In everything I do. My enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity. In everything I do, my enthusiasm soars to embrace infinity. And please pray silently with me. O perfect bliss, guide me that I express thee through my every feeling. May my enthusiasm be a channel for thy joy. Oh, peace. Amen. Good morning and happy Easter.
Good morning.
Happy Easter. I want to read to you from Rays of the One Light on our topic this week, Resurrection for Every Soul. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 20, we read the inspiring account of Jesus' resurrection. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, came Jesus and stood in their midst, and saith unto them, Peace be unto you. The resurrection of Jesus, doubted by many but affirmed by those who were close to him, was a miraculous event, though one not unique in history. For many great saints of other religions have appeared to their disciples after death. Sometimes their appearances have been, as that of Jesus's was, in flesh and blood form, and not only in vision. Paramahansa Yogananda relates an autobiography of a yogi, the account of his guru Sri Yukteswar's resurrection after his earthly passing. Miracles of this type are revealed only rarely to the masses, but accounts of them, related by men and women of reputed truthfulness, have inspired many devotees with faith in the reality of subtler than material states of existence. Resurrection, Yogananda explained, means transformation, ultimately, from any lower state of being to a higher one. Worldly consciousness cannot imagine such transformation, except in terms of perhaps an improvement of the present mess of pottage with the addition of a new flavoring. Divine consciousness, however, is capable of taking the base metal of worldliness and transforming it into the spiritual gold of divine wisdom and love. In keeping with this truth, the Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter tells us, "Ah, ye who into this ill world are come, fleeting and false, set your faith fast on me, fix heart and thought on me, adore me, bring offerings to me, make me prostrations, make me your supremest joy, and undivided unto my rest, your spirits shall be guided." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. I'm going to share with you briefly, and Narayan will also share with you. When this happens to also be, for those who are not aware, the anniversary of Swami Kriyananda's moksha, his passing into the next realm, though he is still very much with us. He actually, I'm going to read to you a letter that he wrote, which was he had read at his last public talk in Assisi. But before that, I just wanted to share Swamiji, when he left his body, we were in Los Angeles, a group of us, and we got the news. It was very sudden and very quick, Swamiji's passing. And there was, of course, the great shock and the despair that comes when you lose someone that is your best friend and the best friend that any of us could have possibly had. But very quickly, the group of us in that ashram, we got together and we started meditating. And this chant that I just played, "I will be thine always," it was the only chant that I could just keep hearing, playing in my mind. And we chanted this chant just over and over and over. And it's beautiful how you'll see how it relates to this message that Swami shared, his last message to all of us. And when he said in the chant, Yoganandaji's chant, he says, "Devotees may come, devotees may go, but I will be thine always." And it's very important, I think, for us to remember that these great avatars, these masters, these saints, they don't come and there's a trail of angels behind them and everyone on the planet just recognizes the glory that is there with us in this world. You could think of course, Christ's life and how at the end, there he was with, where were his disciples? Where were all the people that were proclaiming his entry into Jerusalem? All the people that he healed, all the miracles that he worked, and he was basically alone on the cross. Also very interesting, St. Francis's life. Very similar. He started this amazing work, and just through his own desire to emulate Christ's life and worship Lady Poverty, as he called her, the Divine Mother, and just to embrace that life of pure simplicity, pure humility, nothing, take nothing with you. He had those 3 gospel readings that were just his way. That was the way of the Franciscans. And yet again, he went away, he was proclaiming the gospel, sharing the good word, and he came back, and his work was looking very different than what he had started. And they did not really accept Francis back into that order that he started. And he died with a very small group of his closest friends, very humble surroundings. And such we see, though, that their message to us is not about what we acquire. It's not about what we get in this world. It's about doing the will of God, and our reward is in heaven, or you could say our reward is in self-realization. And that's this message that Swamiji shared with us that I'll read to you. This was on March 29th, 2013, and Swami left the body today, April 21st in 2013. So very close to when he left. Dear ones, I invite you to close your eyes and feel that Swamiji is sharing this message with you. I wish I could bless each and every one of you with a happy Easter. Easter is a time symbolizing the eventual resurrection of our little individual selves into the one infinite self. I suggest at this time particularly that you study and meditate on the photograph of Master titled The Last Smile, and consider this amazing fact. He knew that in just a few moments he would be leaving his physical body forever. There is no thought of self in his eyes, of personal regret, of sorrow. Clearly visible in his eyes and in his facial expression is his unconditional love for all mankind, his readiness to return again and again, as he put it, as long as one stray brother sits weeping by the wayside. Such love for ego-centered humanity is not even conceivable. And this was the love Jesus too felt for all humanity. People weep for him and his suffering on the cross. His suffering was only for humanity that blindly rejects God's love and substitutes it for vengefulness and hatred. I have been going through a personal Armageddon. Nothing in this world attracts me anymore. Nothing at all holds any pleasant memories. None of those experiences, whether interpersonal or outward in any way, holds the slightest attraction for me. Must I really live another 5 years as has been predicted for me? I confess the very idea appalls me. I have done so much in my life to please God. The very hallmark of my nature has been enthusiasm, even though I've been always aware that I could never really accomplish anything significant in this world. Suddenly now I feel bereft of that enthusiasm. Maybe it's because my heart feels very tired. I want only to merge in God. The only lingering thought is that I would like to bring all of you with me. No, I am far from tired of you. I want only your freedom in God. But no, your worldly attachments, identities, and desires, I have to confess, mean simply nothing to me, as my own mean nothing to me. No, this doesn't mean I love you less. I love you much more, for I love that part of you which is eternally real. But whether I succeed or fail in my projects is to me meaningless. All the things I once considered pleasurable are to me now displeasing. I want nothing that this world has to offer. People tell me I am famous. That phrase to me also is meaningless. People often marvel at all I've been able to accomplish in this life. To me, it all seems only dust. If we must resurrect our souls, let it be from the delusion that anything in this cosmic dream holds some worthwhile reality for us. We are children of God. That is our sole reality. Love, Swami.
I'm going to share briefly. Thank you for sharing that letter. It's so touching. Just a brief sharing on expanding on Swami's thought here that our sole reality is as children of God. You know, as Yogananda said, we've often heard that saying, when this I shall die, then shall I know who am I. And I was thinking that this is the deeper, of course, meaning of Easter, of resurrection for every soul, of self-realization, that we have that potential within us to realize our infinite reality. And the question then becomes for us, how do we do that? And this is what the path of yoga, of Kriya Yoga, of meditation is all about. It's about realizing our true identity. There's a really funny, I don't know if you like The Far Side, you ever see that cartoon with Gary Larson? It's one of my favorite. And there's these young couple and they're having a picnic under a tree. It's an idyllic day and they're eating. And then about 40 yards away, there's these two bears. And they're having a conversation. And the one bear is holding his paws up. And he's saying to the other bear, he's saying, come on, man. Look at these paws. Look at these paws and claws. Look at these fangs. Are you telling me we're just supposed to eat berries? The one bear trying to wake up the other bear. There's much more potential. So it is for us. The masters are coming and they're trying to say there's so much more potential that we have. But we got locked up, right? We have this sort of spiritual amnesia. Peter told this beautiful story about his experience with Swami last night, for you, those of you that were here, that he was there with Swami when he was recording the Gita. And he walked in and Swami had his back to him and this other person saw him. And Swami said, oh, who's that? And the man said, oh, it's just Peter. And Swami said, no, it's not just Peter. It's Peter. And remember what Peter means, right? Pietros, the rock. And Peter was that one that said, when Christ asked, who am I? Thou art the Son of the living God. Right? It's in that rock of our own realization that we come to know. When this I shall die, then shall I know. Who am I? But how do we know? That's what Kriya Yoga is all about. We're locked up with the body through the breath. And that cord, Master said, that ties the soul to the body is the breath. And as we begin to cut away at that cord through meditation, through Hong Sa, those of you that know that through Kriya Yoga, we begin to cut away at that cord. And we begin to resurrect our soul nature, which is a nature of divine joy, which is a nature of divine love, which is a nature like Christ, who could say on the cross, when he was persecuted, when he was condemned, when he was crucified, he could still be like that blossom that was crushed and exuded only the fragrance of compassion. There was that story of that Buddhist Lama, the monk. It was so inspiring. He was imprisoned by the Chinese and tortured for many years, and then after a number of years he got out and went to see the Dalai Lama. This is recently. And he said to the Dalai Lama it was very dangerous in there. And the Dalai Lama, of course, was sympathetic. Yes, I can understand. And he said, no, it was very dangerous. I almost lost my compassion. Right? And this is the danger that we're in the world, that with this hatred, with the divisiveness, with the negativity that we face, that we then succumb to that and meet it on that level. Whereas what we're being asked to do is to resurrect our soul nature and pull out that divine shaft of light, because that is the Christ. It's that shaft of light that it's within the darkness. The darkness can't comprehend it, and people, of course, will persecute you. It's like Swami said, I sprinkle persecution on my cereal for breakfast. It happens. But it's not laughter, of course, when we go through it. We have to prepare ourselves. And there's going to be more. Of course, we're on the eve of a great change. So if we can just stand in that center of our own divinity through conscious communion with the light of God within us, and then we can just be just like a silent gift to this world, a flower that exudes that fragrance of the divine. I wanted to close. Joe just shared this beautiful, maybe some of you read it, this recent Touch of Light. And it was so moving that I thought it was an appropriate way to close. He's saying, I had an interesting dream last week. In the beginning, a group of us, friends and gurubhais, were strolling in a crowded street with many people milling around. Then in front of us, there was a commotion, and we saw a military-type vehicle backing up towards us. With all the people around me, I was unable to get out of the way and was struck by the jeep and dragged underneath it. The scene then shifted to some months or years later. I was among a group of people looking at an odd fellow, obviously a homeless street person. He had a little encampment in a woody area near a street with a collection of odds and ends and a small tarp to keep out the sun and rain. The fellow himself was unkempt, with long matted hair, a beard, and raggedy clothes. But he seemed happy and was surrounded by birds and animals. He was sharing the little food he had and was petting and helping them. The viewers were amazed and a little frightened to see an injured mountain lion beside him being petted and soothed. Dozens of birds were chirping happily and landing not only near him, but on him, obviously completely comfortable in his presence. Finally, a shy little snake slithered out of a hole and onto his lap, wanting to be petted. Passerbys were either bemused by the odd scene or angry and mocking him, but he seemed oblivious to them and their criticism. He was clearly quite content to be sitting under a tree with his animal friends. Suddenly, this strange fellow remembered who he was and started laughing and laughing. It was one of those laughs that went on and on until tears streamed down your face. The laughter was joyful and infectious. And the onlookers started laughing too. I suddenly realized that this stranger was me, and that I had just awakened from amnesia caused by the accident. As I recounted this dream to Devi, the next morning I was surprised to find myself choking up with emotion. Only then did I realize its spiritual significance. From the perspective of the soul, we all have spiritual amnesia. We are all lost and homeless, surrounded by a few raggedy possessions and doing the best we can to get by. I was also touched remembering the animals in the dream. Let this be my wish, If sometime in the future I get amnesia, if my name, possessions, occupation, and very identity are all stripped away, then, like the character in my dream, let only love remain. And when I wake from my amnesia, let there be blissful laughter that touches and awakens joy in everyone.